I tell you, it's not me. It's her. She did it all. Or Gandalf who's hiding back there. This seems to be a good day for stories. And a good day for Neil to laugh at Jake's custom parts about bricks. Because I got a story here. It's about the G20, but it's also about bricks because it's about China and India. And they are obviously two of the big members of BRICS. So let's see what the Indians think of why China is being China to India. Yeah, that's right. Well, let them talk to you. Let me talk to you, playa.
India's G20 guest list is getting shorter. First, Vladimir Putin pulled out, and now Xi Jinping could be doing the same.
Okay, at the G20, Russia and China will not be there. Why? Because India is taking over the presidency. And all three of them are part of BRICS. How interesting.
Reports say
Interesting.
the Chinese president will not be attending the summit in New Delhi. Instead, the Chinese premier will fly down. Now, just a disclaimer, this is not official yet. We've not had confirmation on this from either India or China, but the rumor mills have been buzzing for a while. Indications were that Xi Jinping will not come. The obvious question is why? Why wouldn't Xi Jinping visit India? He traveled to Bali for last year's G20 summit. He also traveled all the way to Johannesburg for the BRICS summit earlier this month. So why not New Delhi? The report does not mention the reason. Chinese and Indian sources have said that Xi Jinping will not attend, but they've not said why. And come to think of it, it's not really surprising. China has repeatedly tried to sabotage India's G20 presidency. They have skipped at least two meetings, one in Arunachal Pradesh and another in Jammu and Kashmir. They've also been blocking joint statements after most meetings. The West wants tough language on Ukraine, Russia and China want it watered down. But these are political objections. Some of it has been petty and absurd. Earlier this month, China objected to India's G20 motto. It's Vasudev Kutumbakam. It means the world is one family. What possible objection could you have with that? China said the motto cannot be included in G20 statements. Why? Because Sanskrit is not an official United Nations language. If you put all of this together, what do you see? Sabotage. China is least interested in India's G20 presidency, so Xi Jinping skipping the summit is not unthinkable. It's very much according to their script. But yes, the reasons could be more than one. For instance, the US was hoping for a meeting between Joe Biden and Xi. The last meeting was also at a G20 summit, the one in Bali last year. So the White House was betting on a repeat in New Delhi. In fact, they worked quite hard for it. Top US officials have been making a beeline for Beijing. The latest was America's Commerce Secretary. So the groundwork had very much been done, but maybe Xi Jinping is not interested. Maybe he's had enough of talks. That could be one of the reasons why he's not traveling to India. His closest G20 ally is Russia, but Russian President Putin will also not be in New Delhi, which means Xi would have to face the West alone. Perhaps he doesn't want that. The second possibility is bilateral tensions with India, namely the border. The situation in Ladakh is yet to be diffused, and on Monday, China released a map that shows Indian territories of Aksai Chin and Arunachal Pradesh as parts of China. And that was an important signal. The map was published just 12 days before the G20 summit. You don't do that before a major summit, at least not if you're planning to visit. So, what message does it send? Is it the formal announcement of the East West divide? Well, geography may not be the answer here, but politics could be, and I'll
Get
tell you
down.
why.
Get down.
China's new map does not just claim Indian land, it also claims most of the South China Sea. And who else claims this region? Countries in Southeast Asia like Malaysia, Vietnam, the Philippines, and Brunei. So China's map is an affront to all these countries, not just India. And why is this important? Because before the G20 summit, there is another major event, the ASEAN Leaders' Summit. Indonesia is hosting it from September 5th to 7th. All Southeast Asian nations will be attending. And in case you're wondering, no, Xi Jinping is not expected to attend that summit either. So the message is clear. G20 or ASEAN, China will not back down. They're intent on raking up border issues and creating trouble. But where does that leave the G20? Well, honestly, it is a challenge. The G20 is the only grouping that brings the West and its rivals together. It was a place for common minimum programs. No miracles, but no disasters either. But if Xi Jinping is indeed skipping the summit, it could set a new trend, one where the G20 becomes even more irrelevant. As for India, it's a fresh challenge. Xi's absence may reduce the prospect of a US China face off in New Delhi, but it also reduces the prospect of breakthroughs. Because what Xi can do, his premier cannot. And maybe that's the point of this decision, a snub to the existing world order.
Interesting. Very interesting. Gandalf says it's interesting. Oh, those claws hurt. But there you go. BRICS is a wonderful thing. You just heard it from the Indian perspective. BRICS is good buddy. China and India's good buddies, friends, partners till the end. They're loving each other. They're all kumbaya. Hold on, wait. China just turned out a map that says they own part of India's land. Whoa, that's cool. I'm sure India's just going to roll over and say, sure, no, big China. America thinks you're the greatest, so we're going to give it to you. My butt. China, BRICS. Man, this is just another nail in the coffin for BRICS, brother. Nail in the coffin for BRICS. And China and India peace talks. So it looks like China-India war might be back on. And BRICS is a big nothing burger, especially out to you, Jake. And wow, we'll see how stupid he wants to get. I thought Iran was the only stupid leader, totalitarian leader out there, but I guess Xi Jinping and China is also stupid as fuck. You guys have a good evening. Turn off. Turn off. Turn off. This thing doesn't want to turn off. I hate when this happens.